In this video, we are going to sketch quadratic graphs. We're going to start by finding the turning point of a graph, and we're going to do that by completing the square. So for the first one, we have y equals x squared minus 6x plus 11. We're going to rewrite it by completing the square. To do that, we're going to take our b, the number in front of the x, which is negative 6, and half it, which would be negative 3. So we're going to have y equals x minus 3 squared. Then we're going to take away the 3 squared. So take away 9, and we've got a plus 11 on the end. Negative 9 plus 11 is 2. So we can say y equals x minus 3 squared plus 2. So we've rewritten x squared minus 6x plus 11 in a different form. If we expanded and simplified, we'd get back to that. They're exactly the same. But what this format tells us is the minimum. In this case, it's a minimum, the minimum point. So we look at our bracket and we say, what makes it 0? It'll be 0 when x is 3. And that's the smallest thing that we can get because it's squared. So if we had a negative or a positive number, it would be bigger than 0. So the smallest thing we can get is a 0 when x is 3. So the minimum is when x is 3. And when x is 3, this is 0. So we've just got a 2. So the minimum point is at 3, 2. For the second one, we've got a negative 2 in front of the x squared. So we're going to have to deal with that first. I can say that y is equal, I'm going to write it out again with my x squared first. So negative 2x squared plus 8x minus 3. I want to factorize out the negative 2. So I'm going to take the negative 2 outside. I have x squared minus 4x. And I'll leave then minus 3 on the outside of the bracket. Then I'm going to complete the square just for the bit inside the bracket. I've got negative 2. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. So it's going to be x minus 2 squared. I'm taking away 2 squared, which is 4. And I've got the minus 3 outside the bracket. Then I could multiply through by the negative 2. So just to these two terms. This x minus 2 squared is one term, and the minus 4 is another term. So we've got minus 2 times x minus 2 squared. Negative times a negative is positive, so plus 8. And then I've got the minus 3 on the end. So one more time, y equals negative 2 times x minus 2 squared. 8 to take away 3 is 5. So what is the minimum point? What makes the bracket 0? That's when x is 2. And then what's left? So this will be 0. 2 times 0 is 0. We've just got plus 5 left. So the minimum point is 2, 5. Okay, 2 for you to try. So pause the video and give them a go. So the first one, I'm going to complete the square. Half of 12 is 6. I'm taking away 6 squared, which is 36. So I've got x plus 6 squared minus 35. So the minimum point is when the bracket's 0. So that's negative 6. X is negative 6. And y is negative 35. The second one, we need to deal with the negative first. I'm going to take the negative outside of a bracket. So I have positive x squared, and then negative 5x, and negative 3. Then I'm going to complete the square on x squared minus 5x minus 3. So it's minus, I'll do a square bracket, half of negative 5. I'll write as 5 over 2, negative 5 over 2. I'm going to take away that squared, which is 25 over 4. And I've got minus 3 also in there. 3 is 12 quarters. So I've got 25 quarters, take away 12 quarters. That's going to be minus 37 quarters. And then I can times through by the negative. I have minus x minus 5 over 2 squared. And then a negative times a negative is plus. So plus my 37 quarters. So the maximum point this time, so this is a negative quadratic graph. It's got a maximum point, not a minimum point, is when x is 5 over 2. And y will be 37 over 4. This question says sketch the graph of y equals x squared minus 6x plus 8 and write down the coordinates of its turning point. So when we look at a graph, we know the shape. It's a positive x squared, so it's going to have that sort of shape. It crosses x when y is 0, and it crosses y when x is 0. So when x is 0, it crosses the y-axis. So when x is 0, y is 8. So it crosses the y-axis at 8. When y equals 0, we've got a quadratic to solve. So 0 equals x squared minus 6x plus 8. That will factorize nicely. What multiplies to make 8 and adds to make a negative 6? It's negative 4 and negative 2. So it crosses the x-axis at 4 and 2. So we know where it crosses the y-axis, where it crosses the x-axis. And we want to know its turning point, so we can complete the square for that one. So half of negative 6 is negative 3. Take away 3 squared. So its minimum point is going to be at 3, negative 1. So we've got all the information now. We just need to do a sketch. So it crosses at 2 and 4, 8 up here. And the minimum point is at 3, negative 1. So that is our sketch. Okay, one for you to try. So pause the video and give that one a go. So when x is 0, this time y is negative 15. And when y equals 0, you'll have 0 equals x squared minus 2x minus 15. Again, this one factorizes. It's 5 and 3 plus 3 take away 5. We've got negative 3 and 5, where it crosses the x-axis. Completing the square, half of negative 2 is negative 1. Take away that squared. So we can say what its minimum point is, and that will be 1, negative 16. So that's all the information we need now. Then we can draw our sketch. So it crosses the y-axis at negative 15. And it crosses x at negative 3 and 5. Minimum point's just there at 1, negative 16. So that's our sketch. Another one. This one is slightly harder. Sketch the graph of y equals negative x squared. The negative quadratic is going to take that sort of shape. Y equals negative x squared plus x plus 20. Write down the coordinates of its turning point again. So when x is 0, what do we have? Y is 20. So it goes through 0, 20. When y equals 0, we've got negative x squared plus x plus 20 equals 0. We can multiply through by negative 1 to make it a bit easier for ourselves. And then this is factorized again, 4 times 5. So plus 4 minus 5. So x is negative 4, or x is 5. That's where it crosses the x-axis and completing the square. So we've got a negative y equals negative x squared minus x minus 20. Then we'll complete the square on the bracket. So inside the bracket, half of negative 1 is minus a half. Take away half squared, which is a quarter. 20 will be 80 quarters. So 80 minus a quarter, take away another 80 quarters, we minus 81 quarters. And then if I times through, a negative times a negative would be positive. Just trying to save space by doing 2 steps in one. So it would be plus 81 quarters. So the minimum point, or the maximum point I should say, is at 1/2 81 over 4. So then we can draw our sketch. So we have 20, negative 4, positive 5, then a maximum point up here. The maximum point at 1/2 81 over 4, which is 20.25. So it should only be just above the 20. And one for you to try. So pause the video and give it a go. So when x is 0, y is negative 16. When y equals 0, we've got x squared minus 10x plus 16 equals 0. So it's x minus 8, x minus 2. So x is 8 or 2. And then completing the square, we've got y equals minus, and then all of this. So x squared minus 10x plus 16. Completing the square on this quadratic, half of negative 10 is negative 5. Take away 5 squared, which is 25. and plus 16. Negative 25 plus 16 will be negative 9. So we're going to have minus x minus 5 squared. It's negative 9, but when we expand the bracket, it will be plus 9. I've just skipped a step again there. I'm just doing it to save space, so I've got room for my sketch. The maximum point, what makes the bracket 0? That's at 5. And then when the bracket 0, what's left? 9. And we should be able to see for all of these that they are symmetrical. So the turning point is exactly halfway between the 2 points where it hits the axis. So half between 2 and 8 is 5. Halfway between -4 and 5 is a half. So these quadratic graphs are always symmetrical. And then a quick sketch here. So we have crossing at 2 and 8. And the negative x squared shape, maximum point at 5, 9, and it crosses at negative 16.